the CMS, Church Missionary Society. When the white man wanted to preach Jesus in Africa, in East Africa, the first group of white men to come here and start telling about Jesus were from that body called CMS. Do you know that CMS is simply Anglican, or what you call today called Anglican Church of Kenya? So, there are things that I would like to point out about the hypocrisy and the uselessness of the church, and unworthiness of the church to talk about human rights, the trustworthiness of the church, and the danger of the church. The church is something dangerous to the progress of men. But what have you been brainwashed to think? That you need the church. But the church came to destroy. Indeed, the church came to steal. The church came to kill. Look at how the church came. The first footprint of the church. And what they did. And the impact. How have its life changed? Over the time Christianity has been around. And you will agree with me that indeed Christianity came to steal and destroy. To steal what? They stole your culture. They stole your dignity. They stole your indigeneity. They killed your culture either way. They killed your thinking. They killed your philosophical mind. You can't question things. You just follow things blindly. They stole your lands. Yes, they stole your lands. They stole your leaders. The best leaders of you have been stolen by the church. And when you get into the church, you become retarded. You can't think. You can't solve problems. So, Church Missionary Society was Anglican. What is Anglican? Anglican simply means British. Remember the Anglos were the original inhabitants of the land that we call Britain today, or the UK, or let me say Britain. So the Anglos were the inhabitants. So that the word Anglo comes from that. It simply means British. So when I say Anglican Church, I simply mean the Church of England. So the Church of England is part of the UK government, the King. The Church of England, or what in Kenya you call SEK, was founded in UK by a king called Henry. After he differed with the Catholic Pope, he wanted to marry a second wife who could give birth to a son. The Pope refused, telling him that the Catholic Church, could only allow one man to marry one woman, and no reason whatsoever, be it barrenness or the gender of the kids that the woman or the wife has given birth to, can qualify to dissolve a marriage. King being bitter with the Pope, and for the Pope failing to grant the king the wish to marry a second wife, who according to the king would give birth to a baby boy who could become the apparent heir, the King Henry went forward and dethroned the Pope from being the head of the Church of England, and he formed his own church, which he now called the Church of England. These times, the Catholic Church, and the kingdoms of Europe used to work together, what was called Christendom. Remember, Europe has many kingdoms. Most of the countries in Europe, even today, have kingdoms and monarchies. But when they came to Africa, they tried to kill their kingdoms. Yet, where they come from, they have very well established, flourishing monarchies. Look at Italy. They have a kingship. They have a monarch. UK, a monarch. Spain, a monarch. Hungary, a monarch. France, a monarch. So, those European kingdoms were working one-on-one with the Pope. So, this time around now, the Pope ceased from being the head of the Church of England, which was a state church. and now the king formed his own church. Are we there? So there are some lights on and off. I don't know, but let me fix that. So the Anglican Church, or the CMS, is part of the UK government which wanted to colonize Africans. So the Church of England was sponsored by the government of UK. The same government which was killing Africans, which was stealing their minerals, which was maiming them, which was evacuating them from their lands, which was putting them into concentration camps, which was raping women, which was detaining you African men, which was deporting Africans, which was taking Africans to fight for the wars they were not part of in the Great War and the Second World War, in Burma, in Myanmar, in India, and have Africans killed. The same UK government is the one that also commissioned the CMS, or the Anglican, to come and preach the gospel. So the church and the UK government worked together to oppress. Because how can make it make sense? The CMS is sent by the UK government, and the UK government wants to establish an imperial rule over the same lands. You can't be in a disagreement. You are together. But when you start speaking, you start preaching equality. So where was the church during the 68 years of torture, of theft, of murders that UK committed on African soils, or specifically Kenyan soils? Where was the church? It couldn't speak. The church sits in the UK Parliament, remember, in the House of Commons. Bishops, Anglican bishops, sit in the Parliament, the same Parliament which used to make policies on how to steal from the colonies. So the church is part of the problem. And the church should never, ever lecture anyone on human rights. Because if it is not for the church, we can't be colonized. Because the church teaches you nonsense, teaches you there is a better place, not here on earth, whether it's gold, whether it's silver, and I don't know, food. Yet gold is found in Kenyan soil, is found in Magadi, is found in Kisumu, is it Migori, is found in Kakamega. Gold is found in Masai Mara. But the Muzungu comes and tells you, you will die and go to a place that is gold. But gold is in Kenya. Tell me something else. Gold, we have it. What did you do? You hid that information and told us that we only have salt in Kenya, and soda ash, and the fluorspar, and the atomite. The same church tells you, blessed are the poor, for they will see God. So the church is brewing poverty and encouraging people to be poor. Yet someone is stealing from them, and because you have been trained not to think or to question, you are content with that bullshit you have been taught. Jesus even said, it is even easier for a camel to enter a needle than a rich man to go to a place called heaven. In other words, Christianity and the dramatic teachings are trying to encourage poverty and to give a resonance to poverty. Justify poverty. Give a hope that people who are poor anyway don't need to do anything else. They should just sit by and wait, for they will go to a place called heaven. So the church is the worst link to human justice. And if the church is severe ties with the state, the government, the cruel governance systems will only fall. There is oppression in the government, there is theft in the government, only because the church allows it. So the church should be embarrassed and shut up. Shut up, because you are the source of the problem.